Book of Heaven, Volume 20, January 20th, 1927. How the communion of the divine will is not subject to being consumed, its veils are intangible. She longs for heaven, and therefore she is melancholic, and puts all creation in melancholy. Having received communion, I remained afflicted and distressed, because the fits of coughing were such and so many that I felt I was suffocating, and I could neither think nor be with Jesus according to my usual way. Then, after 1 hour and more of intense coughing, I calmed down and I thought to myself, it has already been an hour and more since I received Jesus, and I have not been able to recollect myself to be all alone with him. The accidents of the host are now consumed, Jesus has left, and I do not know where else to find him again. So today for me it has been as if I had not received Holy Communion. But after all, also in this, I kiss, I adore, and I bless the supreme fiat. Now while I was thinking of this, my sweet Jesus came out from within my interior, leaned his head upon my shoulder, and sustained me with his arms to give me strength. For I was so exhausted that I felt myself dying. And, all goodness, he said to me,
"My daughter, do you not know that there is a communion which is eternal, so great, and not subject to either diminishing or being consumed? Its veils, which hide it in the midst of creatures, are not subject to perishing like the veils of the sacramental host. It gives itself in every instant, at each breath, at each heartbeat, and in all circumstances. Even more, one must be always with one's mouth open to be able to receive them all. That is, with the will of always wanting to receive this communion so great and continuous, which, as much as it gives itself, it is not subject to either diminishing or being consumed. Otherwise, many times they remain outside of the soul, without entering into her. You have already understood what this communion so great and continuous is. It is my divine fiat, which flows as life within your soul, as heat to fecundate you and to make you grow, as food to nourish you. It flows in the blood of your veins, in the beating of your heart, in everything. It is always in the act of giving itself to you, if you just want to receive it. It would drown you with communions, so many it wants to give you. With reason, with justice, and by right, the communion of my will was to be without limits and not subject to being consumed, because it is origin, means, and end of the creature, and therefore she was to be able to receive it, in such a way that it could never be lacking to her. In fact, something that is origin, means, and end must be in continuous act of giving itself and of being received. If it were not so, her origin of living and the means to sustain herself would be lacking for the poor creature, and she would lose the end that she must reach. Therefore, my infinite wisdom could never allow that the communion of my will be limited for them. On the other hand, the sacramental communion was not given as origin of creatures, nor as end, but it was given as means, help, refreshment, and medicine. And the means, the helps, etc., are given in a limited way. They are not perennial. This is why the veils of the sacramental accidents are subject to being consumed. More so, since if creatures love to receive me continuously, there is the great communion of the eternal fiat, which is an act of giving itself continuously to them. Yet, you were afflicting and almost troubling yourself, as you were thinking that the sacramental species were consumed. You had no reason to afflict yourself, because inside and outside of you there is the communion of my will, which is not subject to undergoing any consummation. Its life is always in its fullness, nor could my love tolerate that the little daughter of our will be unable to receive our divine life, always new and continuous.
Then, after this, I continued to feel sick, and while doing the round in the creation to follow the acts of the supreme will, I felt a note of sadness within me, because obedience had imposed on me to obey in letting my sickness be taken away, while I was longing for heaven. I would have wanted to make a jump from the middle of creation in order to reach my yearned-for fatherland, praying the heavens, the stars, the sun, and all created things to accompany me. In fact, since one was the fiat that gave us life, I had my rights that they should not leave me alone, but should all follow me up to the eternal gates, waiting for that very will which had possessed me on earth to receive me in heaven first. And then, after my entrance into the beatific celestial will, they could withdraw, each one to its place. But since I could not do this, I felt melancholic, and so I was going around throughout the whole creation. Now, while I was doing this, a loud, harmonious, and silvery voice made itself heard from the center of creation, saying,
Your sad note has communicated itself to all created things. So today you have put us all in melancholy. Be sure that we will all accompany you to heaven. It is right that one who has been in our midst, who has kept us company, may not enter heaven without our company. But all creation will remain without the one who puts gaiety in it, who keeps it in feast. Your echo will no longer resound in our midst, by which, rendering us as though speaking, we magnify. Love and praise that divine will which created us and preserves us. We will lose the one who visits us and keeps us company.
The voice kept silent, and I myself felt I was breathing a melancholic air. So I thought I had committed sin for having put the whole creation in melancholy with my sadness. And so I yearned for my sweet Jesus to tell him of the evil I had done, to tell him that the reason he had made me write so many things regarding the divine will was so that these might reach into the midst of creatures in such a way that by living of this divine fiat, they might possess a kingdom so holy. Then, while I was thinking of this and other things, my beloved Jesus moved in my interior and told me,
My daughter, you are right in wanting to come, but before all the knowledges of my will come out and do their course, it will take time. And this is why the creation is right in saying that it will be left in its silence once again. However, I do not want you to oppress yourself. Abandon yourself in me and let your Jesus do everything.
And I love, when you take me to heaven, I pray that you take me quickly, so that they may not have the time to give me this obedience. But while I was saying this, I seemed to see the heavens, the sun, and all creation bowing around me to pay homage. And Jesus added,
My daughter, when you die, the whole creation will invest you, and you will pass into heaven in a flash. Aren't you happy?
Thank you for being a part of our community here at Divine Will app. If you enjoy listening to Jesus's lessons on how to live in the divine will, please give this video a thumbs up. Your likes help us reach more souls yearning to live in the kingdom of the divine will. We'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections, so drop a comment below. Your insights not only enrich our community, but also inspire others on their spiritual journey. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. By joining us, you're helping to spread the news of the kingdom of the divine will, so that together we can bring his kingdom to reign on earth as it is in heaven. In the divine will, always.